How personally affected do you get when you're in one of these famous feuds? Like, okay, the Kelly Osbourne thing going on now, which I don't even.
I'm not personally affected
at all. I mean, it doesn't bother you at all.
No.
I mean, it's kind of silly in a way.
All the feuds usually that people write about they're very one-sided. It's me over here and somebody's feuding with themselves about me.
So Perez Hilton, who was a good friend of yours, I assume, I don't know, this is what I've read. Are you angry with him or not?
I don't really care anymore.
You don't?
No, I just it's so ridiculous at this point. It's such nonsense, and the whole thing is really rooted in Madonna. I mean, that's the sort of the center of it, and no one's really said that or admitted to it, and it's silly. And
what do you
that's
mean Madonna is at the center of the Perez Hilton feud?
Yeah, it's just sort of like there's always this pissing match. Did she take her torch? And is she the new her? And is she going to outlast her or not? And it's like there's this thing with some people that I'm a threat to the throne, and I don't want your fucking throne.
Right.
And no thanks. And I have my own, and I don't actually want a throne at all because I don't view myself as a queen. I view myself as one of my fans, and that's it.
It's funny when art turns so competitive, doesn't it? And yet it does.
Yeah,
because
there's
watches
plenty of room for artists.
Because everyone watches record sales, and everyone watches. You're pitted against each other.
It's like a popularity
bullfighters.
contest.
It is.
Yeah.
But why would Perez Hilton? He was such a good friend of yours and such a like you played a song for one of the first songs you ever played or something. You played for him. I mean, this guy was a supporter of yours. I don't understand how things go so wrong.
Because what happened was we were doing an interview. I took 2 days out of my schedule when I was on a world tour to do an interview for him. To support a show that he was doing. And in the middle of the interview, he started asking me really terrible questions, and he was being very negative about Born This Way. And we had a lot to drink, and he was supposed to be my friend, and I felt betrayed, so I started crying. And then, my friend had to come in and pull the camera out. They wouldn't turn the cameras off. And then, he apologized, but I sort of felt like it was like, but I'm Perez Hilton, so I'm allowed to treat you this way. And I looked at him and I said, just because you are who you are does not mean that our friendship doesn't mean anything when the cameras turn on. So now I see who you really are. And I was done after that. And he's just mad that I don't want to hang out with him anymore because I don't want to be around fake people. And I really believed when I'd first met him, I really believed that he wanted to change, and I really believed that he wanted to bully people less on his site and that he wanted to move into a more positive space. And I was really there for him, and I really supported him, and I made sure that, if people didn't want him to come into award shows or things like that, that I would fight for him to get in and get him a pass. And then I'm sitting there in this bedroom doing this interview with him, and I'm thinking, my God, you've been with my family. We've eaten together.
How could you turn around and attack?
How could you ask me these questions? He was just asking. He was, just framing everything like I was some sort of a failure now, and it really was hurtful. And to be fair, I don't really care if anyone thinks I'm a failure. I don't care if anybody even says to me that I'm a failure. But, if I took the time out of my schedule to do this interview with you and you're supposed to be my friend, it really doesn't make any sense to me that you think you're entitled to harass me on film after I've had a whiskey. I mean, it was just so ridiculous. And then he tried to move into my apartment.
Into your actual apartment?
Next door to me. And I freaked out so much about it because, I have no rights.
Right.
Just because you're famous doesn't mean you have any, special rights.
You don't own the apartment next to you.
So I went completely crazy on my Twitter. I mean, everybody was, trying to grab my computer from me. And I'm just like, I don't know, because my sister was sleeping there, and it made me scared and upset.
Right.
And then he, lied and told everybody that he wasn't stalking me. But that next day, after I asked him to leave me alone, he put an offer in on 2 apartments in the building. Why do you need to live in my apartment? There's only one reason: to try to hurt me or harass me or blow yourself up. If you hate me from over there. Continue firing away on your blog and your Twitter. Like that, it's, we will no longer as a society for much longer sidestep the consequences of the things that we say. It's very important that everybody hears me when I say this. You can think that, oh, it's on the internet, it's no big deal, or, you know, because it's so easy to type something because you're not looking somebody in the eye. But at some point, these things are going to come back to you.
You're very right.
It's not good.
You know, you do feel a certain safety from your home writing all these things. But then when you confront someone face to face, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I didn't mean it, I didn't this, all of a sudden it becomes a very different reality.
And it's the same thing with interviews. It's like I'm supposed to give people a fucking free pass because there's a camera on. I'm like, hi, I'm a human being. I'm an artist. I'm a person. What you're asking me is bullshit. And if we were in a bar in New York, I would knock your teeth out.
Do you think that a lot of your sensitivities to people are because of the way you had to come up? You've sort of alluded to the fact that when you were an artist coming up, trying to find your way, a lot of men in particular were abusive to you. I'm talking about record company people. Like, you almost imply like you had they expected a blowjob just to give you a job or something. Is that the case too? Is that you kind of fed up with being used?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel a sense of needing to say it because there's so many young girls that want to be recording artists, and I'm, you know, talking about telling everybody to be themselves and fight for their dreams, and I want to make sure that they understand that they're walking into a lion's den,
and the lion's
den, and to be very
being,
careful.
That when you're, you know, now you're Lady Gaga and you're successful, but you're talking about when you have no power, and all the power brokers are men. You go into a room, you audition for them, and they're kind of like, hey, honey, you know, all of a sudden they reduce it to that. Fuck you being an artist. Give me a blowjob or something.
Well, it's not quite like that, but it's actually much more manipulative than that, and it's not even that straightforward. It's you know, oh, you're so amazing, and then the hand goes on your thigh, and oh, you're so incredible, wow, you're going to be a star. And then,
don't you ask yourself, don't these guys have daughters, and don't they have sisters?
Well, you don't
mothers?
ask yourself that when you're like 18 years old or 16, you know, and it's, you know, that was my first experience with adults in the adult world. So I'm thinking, oh, is this what the music industry is like? Is this what it's supposed to be? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this normal? And I just got myself into a place where, you know, I've had drug and drinking problems ever since I started coming into this business, and it's because there's things that affected me so deeply that I just couldn't recover, and I didn't have any time to talk to anyone or fix those problems. I became a star, so all those things happened, and then all of a sudden I'm a star and everything's great, but nobody realizes that there's
a person.
Yeah, but I'm also trying to act like nothing's wrong, and filling the void with alcohol and cocaine and marijuana and ecstasy and LSD and you name it. You know, I've tried it.
LSD's the worst. For me,
I know.
it was.
It's not fun. I mean, it's fun for, like, you know, the first 15 minutes, and then you want it to be over, and it lasts 9 hours.
It's
9 to 15.
Thing. But I understand what you're saying. In other words, you think, like, you know, it's not even conscious, but if you take enough drugs or if you sort of get out of your mind, then you're not thinking about all the people who were a bunch of fucks to you, right? I mean, aren't you filled with anger over these people? Have you ever gotten in touch with that anger? Do you ever go to a therapist and say, I'm an angry woman because of what was done to me?
Well, I am not angry. I'm just in pain. I'm just in pain.
Do you ever run into some of these guys who, you know, were back then really rude to you? No. The record company business has changed a lot. One of the guys in the record business has lots of regrets. Was L.A. Reid said he auditioned for you.
And he's not one of them, by the way.
No, I don't mean to tie him into that. No. But I've met L.A. Reid. He seems like a real decent man.
He is.
But you auditioned for him early on in your career. He listened to you and took a pass.
No, he signed me on the spot and gave with $1 million deal. I mean, it was like, I didn't see a lot of that money because there was a lot of people around me. But
then what happens? He loses interest?
I went to go work on the record, and again, this was a challenging thing for me. You're making music, you've made some money, everybody wants a piece of you. The hype train leaves the stage, and I'm just standing there going, "Hi, we haven't even put a record out yet. I'm nobody. Could we just make the music?" And really, I think what happened is there's a lot of artists, and it just got kind of shuffled off of his radar, and he just dropped me and didn't maybe realize. But he's always been very nice to me and very supportive.
He said it's one of his biggest regrets because, let's face it, you became one of the biggest artists in the world, and he's L.A. Reid. He probably said, "Wow, was my radar off on this one? I should have been paying more attention," right?
Well, everything happens for a reason.
You're not getting naked, are you?
No, I'm just
I was hoping you were.
Well, it's almost. It's close.
By the way, you're in really good shape. You had gained weight for a while, and then you got thin again. How
Yeah.
difficult was that?
Well, actually, the weight gain was
Your boyfriend, right? He said he wanted you more zombie.
no, but he did. He was very happy during that
The
time.
weight gain was your hip, wasn't it?
It was the hip on the.
What happened
What
there?
happened there? That was a shocker.
I know. So, well, I guess I know. I'm not. Well, shocking to me.
Yeah.
When
It's
I was
from-
on the tour,
Yeah.
I was. It's like fuck if I know what hurts the most after
Right.
7 months of being on the road and no sleep, and the schedule was just, nightmare.
Right.
And I started to notice that my body looked swollen, and I was like, what's going on? And I kept telling everybody around me, I don't know what's going on. This has never happened to me before. So I would go to the gym and I'd work out more, and I would not eat barely anything, trying to lose the weight.
Did your hip hurt?
Everything hurt.
Everything hurt.
Everything hurt. And then I'd go on stage and I would do a 2.5-hour show, and I just got bigger and bigger. And if you do look at pictures of me at that time,
Yeah.
you can kind of tell that the weight's kind of displaced around my body. I mean, I definitely gained weight, but I was really swollen in very strange areas. And then, once I couldn't walk anymore, and I started going and walking with a cane, and I was in a wheelchair for about a week and a half before.
And everyone
the
thought that
show
was some
ended.
sort of theatrical thing, you running around in a gold wheelchair,
No,
but it was real.
No,
It
that was later. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was, and yeah, it was real. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just, it was I guess, so anyway, the tour ended, and I went to the doctor, and I had a labral tear. And then when they did the surgery, they found I had a huge crater in my hip. It was
Wow.
almost broken.
Is that from performing and jumping around on stage and dancing?
Yeah, I guess so.
But you're so young. I mean, it seems
Yeah, that's
weird that would
odd.
happen, don't you think?
It's not that weird. I mean, athletes and dancers get injuries, and I dance really, really hard. And, and to be fair, my schedule for the past 5 years has been so brutal.
Did they
and
give you an artificial hip?
No.
What did they do to it?
They sculpted it with a saw. I have the video footage.
Yeah.
So when you take off that costume and you're just sitting there in your bra and your panties like that,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's incredibly hot. You got a really nice body. You look really good.
That just turned the corner so
Let me ask
quickly.
you
What is he
something.
doing?
He's
Do
so
you feel-
funny.
do
He's
you
become
feel-
one of those record executives.
Do you feel? Well, I'm sorry.
No, he's not. That's totally different.
I'm not pervy like that. I mean, I am, but I'm trying to behave myself. Should I take my shirt off now? Is what I was
Sure.
gonna ask you. Yeah, I should probably
Get
take my clothes
comfortable.
off.
Naked, yes.
But you understand that gets a reaction in the room. When you take off your outfit and you're in your bra and panties, that gets a reaction in the room, and it looks great. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, are you self-conscious right now at all about your body?
No, but it's like I grew up listening to artists from the 70s and the 80s, and everybody walked around like this, and it was normal and it was fine. And then suddenly it's like, what year is it? It's 2013, and all of a sudden everybody's so
Uptight.
conservative. Why?
I don't know.
It's so bizarre.